New fallout today over a photo of a tense moment between Arizona Governor Jan Brewer and President Obama. That moment captured here on the tarmac during the president's visit to Arizona last week. The two reportedly disagreeing about how the governor described a meeting with the president in her book, Scorpions for Breakfast. Now, some members of the African-American community are calling that finger-wagging gesture racist, as well as her description of the encounter. Last week, radio show host Joe Madison had this to say.
There are some people, not all, in this country who cannot stand the fact that this is an African American who is now one of the most powerful individuals on the planet. And there are those who cannot consciously and subconsciously handle it. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth.
Well,
and so you delegitimize it.
Jamu Green is the former president of the Women's Media Center and a Fox News contributor. And David Webb is host of The David Webb Show and co-founder of Tea Party 365. And it was not just Mr. Madison as well. Al Sharpton came out and made some comments. An NAACP official, Hillary Shelton, came out and said that he believed that this was this played on a discriminatory stereotype of whites being superior to blacks. What do you think, Jimo?
Well, I think at the end of the day, Governor Jan Brewer is not a racist. I think that she, as the overwhelming majority of Americans, has egalitarian beliefs. She wants and believes that everyone in this country is equal. But the reality is we live in a country, we live in a world where there is, bias that we have that is subconscious. And that's reflected in, how we smile at someone, what our spatial distance is with them. And sometimes our behaviors don't mesh up with our egalitarian beliefs. And I think, maybe some folks are going too far to the racist part of it and not seeing, I think, a bigger issue on top of her being disrespectful to the president. And would she or any governor approach a president in that manner if he was a white man, if he was George Bush? That we wouldn't have seen someone saying that she thought she was threatened, she felt that his stance was threatening. That is an indicator of, I think, her subconscious bias that all of us are guilty of. I've gotten into elevators and clutched my purse if I'm standing next to someone who, looks like he could be scary, and that could be a black man. I'm aware of it, and I think more of us need to become aware of it to broaden out this conversation and truly address racial disparity in this country. David?
Jamu, you should go on Dancing with the Stars with that soft shoe. Let's deal with the issue at hand. It's impolite to point, Megan. That's what my parents taught me. No one can read any context in this picture, even of anger, with all due respect. But here's what we have.
But she did also say that she felt threatened by the exchange.
Right. Well, that's fine. Women sometimes feel threatened by men if they're in a position of an argument. That's also something else.
By the president, in front of cameras, in front of the entire audience.
I don't care. It's her feeling. She's entitled to it. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about the racist charge by Joe Madison and race-baiting national Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and the rest. Did Jan Brewer's finger have the N-word written on it? Maybe that would have made it racist. Or is this a case where the president and his acolytes need to call out the black mafia, which is what they are, to turn it into racism? A tense exchange, of course. She's a governor. He's the president. The president, by the way, is suing Arizona. Predominantly Hispanic. Is he racist against Hispanics for having his DOJ file suit against a governor trying to protect their citizens?
Let me ask you this, Jamu, because the American Spectator had a piece today that talked about how even though he's suing her state, his DOJ, she showed up for the meet and greet, she invited him to have lunch, she invited her to join her for a tour of the border, and then they write, quote, exercising the type of feminist muscle liberals usually applaud, pint-sized Jan refused to be intimidated by Obama's confrontational demeanor and fought back. He is the one who started the, exchange with her that was tense. Do they have a point? Would you be singing a different tune if he were white or she were black or they were the same race?
I think good for her that she is ambitious, that she, had her letter and wanted to have a conversation with him about immigration. But I also think she wanted a confrontation.
But he
I
started
think
it,
that is
Well, how do you know
reflected.
what she
Wait
wanted?
a second, David, let me finish. She wanted a confrontation on immigration because it is good right now for anyone on the right to show that they are standing up to the president, that they are being aggressive against the president. And that is where I do point fault at her, because she may not be a racist, but she also understands by her taking that stance, she is tapping into some of those racial undertones that we have in this country. And for David to deny that they exist is ludicrous. For him
First
to
of all,
deny
I didn't deny
that, wait
they
a second,
exist, Jamu.
that
Don't
a
try
white,
this, all right?
that a
This is
white
the same
felon
leftist.
is more likely to be called back for a second interview than a black man with a high school
jeez.
diploma. That is the reality in this country, David.
Here's the
Get out of your
reality.
bubble. Get out of your bubble. You know this exists, and stop trying to deny it. We can have an open conversation about
Jamu,
it, but stop trying to deny the
These
reality.
typical talking points of the black mafia here in America. But here's the reality.
That does no good.
Racism exists, Megan. This does not rise even to the level of beyond, if you will, impolite for pointing in a conversation. What we don't do is we don't have the race. I want to see the black mafia, Joe Madison,
You love
Jamu
that
Green,
word, don't you,
Al
David?
Sharpton, and all of them come out and denounce what we discovered and exposed this weekend on video, interviews with black people at Occupy Wall Street who say they are being discriminated to the point where they left Zuccotti, went to Occupy Newark, formed a camp. We've rolled it out on biggovernment.com for the world to see.
Do you think they have a double standard?
There is explicit racism there, which is an issue to be tackled. Instead, we get this.
There's explicit and there is implicit.
Instead,
And David,
let me finish my point. Let me finish my point.
Do not
Finish your
attach
point, and then
me
I'll give you
to
another.
criminalizing me or other people who speak
let
on
me
behalf of the black
finish
community by
my
calling them black
point.
mafia.
David, and
It's
then- and I will give you the
disrespectful,
floor
it's
back.
offensive, and I think
Well,
that type
Jamu-
of language is
Jamu,
uncalled for.
I will give you the floor back. Just let him
Okay.
finish his point.
The soft bigotry of low expectations that is being pandered by the left in this country, where if you are black, you are a victim. If you are black, you are immediately a 7-year-old schoolboy who can't handle himself against the governor in the case of the president, that they have to roll out racism. Megan, what credible American looking at this says reverse black, white, or in any manner, it was racist?
Okay, go ahead, Jamu.
I think most Americans look at this and they say it was disrespectful for her, and it is absolutely okay for the president to want to address her misinformation in her book, especially when she walked out of the White House and said that it was a cordial meeting, and then as it related to the book, she wanted to have a confrontational stance. It helped her book sales, but at the end of the day, we have to get past the disrespect part for the president, because there is a level of disrespect for this office that has taken place in the last 3 years that any American should find unacceptable.
This is ridiculous,
if you're a
Megan.
Democrat or
I've gotta
you're a
go, so
Republican,
very
Well, very
any
quickly,
American
this is
should be
ridiculous.
offended by
For
it.
all the people who claim that people hate Obama because he's black, he's half white. Which half do you hate? He's biracial. Who hates the white half? Who hates the black half? That is the ridiculous nature of what Jamu and what the left put out. It's ridiculous. We as America, America is post-racial. This is not post-racial.
We have racial disparity in this country, and we need to address it in a meaningful way, not by calling names and criminalizing
Well,
black
it's
people. who speak
stupidity
out
that
on
takes
behalf.
us to this level, and that's what you pander to.
It's got
Do not call me
stop. It got a little tense, but love you both. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I mean, these are tough discussions, so it can get.
They need to be honest.
But thank you both.
Thank you,
I appreciate it.